Welcome back to Africa 54. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta is calling for more regional efforts to stabilize eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He says civilians need real protection from armed groups. Kenyatta made his remarks as he opened the international conference for the Great Lakes region in Nairobi. President Kenyatta, who was accompanied by fellow President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda and Michel Djodoutier of the Central African Republic, said the regional bloc was committed to seeing peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I commend the efforts to deploy a regional intervention force to deal with armed groups in eastern DRC, to enable member states' own conflict resolution and peace-building efforts in the region. Kenya believes that the ICGLR's regional initiatives require our full support.
The eastern region of DRC, which has been plagued by conflict for years, is currently under intense international scrutiny as the local army, backed by United Nations troops, battle armed groups in the mineral-rich area. Militia and armed rebel groups such as M23 operating in the area comprise mostly of the youth who either join voluntarily or are forcefully recruited. The groups claim to be fighting the Kinshasa government, which they say has neglected their regions and plundered their resources. However, according to Human Rights Watch and the United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, M23 rebels, the Congolese army and other groups have carried out dozens of summary executions and raped scores of women.
Our protection monitoring teams have registered 705 cases of sexual violence in the region since January. This includes 619 cases of rape. During the same period in 2012, if we want to compare, our staff had registered only 108 cases. This year, the survivals include 288 minors and 43 men.
In March 2013, one of M23 leaders, General Bosco Ntaganda, handed himself over to the International Criminal Court in The Hague, where he is currently facing charges on war crimes and crimes against humanity. Well, for more perspective on the role of the youth in securing lasting peace in Congo DRC, I'm joined by Mr. Martin Buhendwa, student coordinator, Friends of the Congo. Martin, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you.
Now, looking at Congo, the conflicts going on now, I've looked at the composition of the militia groups, the M23. Most of those fellows are literally kids. They're just little boys.
Absolutely. When you look at the Congo, the problem with the Congo is chronological, okay? Those kids are joining militia group because of lack of democratic space. The problem of the Congo are institutional program, okay? There are governance issues that are going on within the country. If you look at the Congo and you look at its neighboring country, okay, there is a whole regionalization of the conflict that's going on. There is a militarization of governments, okay, that are exploiting, you know, the natural resources within the Congo.
And would you say that most of these young fellows are forced into these groups, or some of them actually offer themselves?
Some of them have no choice but to join such rebel movements because you have a collapse of the mainstream institutions within the country. And when there is such a collapse of institutions, young people have no choice but to join militia groups or other movements where there is, you know, some lucrative business going on.
And that brings it to you. You're the young people. In fact, the president of DRC is one of the youngest. He became president at 29.
Absolutely.
What do you do as the young people of Congo to own back that country, to bring peace to the country?
You know, we have to understand the history of the Congo, you know, before the young people can engage, you know, actively in resolving the whole conflict. The Congo has been under foreign intervention for the last 127 years, okay? The young people of the Congo ruled the Congo for only 6 months, and that went with the assassination of Lumumba. The remaining of the years has been a dictatorial, you know, kleptocracy, civil war, and you can't really have an active engagement of young people within the country when there is a collapse of the system.
So, of course, we're not talking about a hopeless situation. What's the plan? If you were to be given an opportunity to lay out a plan for the resolution.
The plan is the democratic institutions have to be put in place.
Who puts them back?
The people of the Congo. The people of the Congo want a democratic institution within the country.
They held an election not long ago. Kabila was re-elected. So how has that worked out?
It's a controversial election. You know that, Mr. Makori. You know the elections in the Congo are controversial.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to take things into our hands and reshape our own destiny as a people.
Let's talk about, I mean, I can't give you the percentage, but a great number of those in Congo are young people. They're the ones who are in the army, they're the ones into the militia groups. Despite the lack of these institutions, what can the young people do to say, we're not going to be part of the chaos, we want to be part of the peace? What can they do? How can they do that?
The young people in the Congo, looking at the whole situation that's going on within the country, the young people within the country have engaged in entrepreneurship, businesses. What they're basically doing is they're putting aside, institutions and the government, and they're taking things into their hands. Some of them are joining groups, to raise awareness, at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
They're engaging communities, At some degree, there is an inter-ethnic, conflict that's part of the whole problem of the Congo. It's a very complex situation.
Okay.
So what they're doing is to engage, to raise awareness from the grassroots level and address the conflicts.
Yeah, and we know right now there's an international intervention force right there, but what more do you think the international community can do, particularly to rally the young people of Congo and separate them from the conflict?
The international community, in particular the United States, need to reshape its foreign policy towards the Congo. That's the only way young people would be engaged actively within the political processes within the Congo. Look at the illicit transactions of the business, of the mineral resources.
Yeah.
That's what fueling the whole conflicts, within the country. You acquire a blood diamond in the Congo and transact it to the neighboring country illegally, in a neighboring state. And since the business is lucrative, you have no choice but continue with the same cycle. Which
is very sad, because the young people, again, are the ones used to mine this illegal minerals. They used to fight the conflict. I mean, we hope for the best. Thanks a lot for joining us today, Martin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, that's Martin Buhendwa, who is a student coordinator, Friends of the Congo. Thanks for joining us today. Now,